Okay, it's a wonderful good evening. Welcome to the live chat on my Facebook page. My name is LWANDO Cheleka. Like I mentioned last week that we will be normally having an online chat every Friday. Unfortunately, yesterday we didn't have the live chat yesterday because we experienced bad network. We're having a challenge with the network, and we are still working on our system so that we can be connected with our brother whom we are supposed to have yesterday. That is Mr. Lucky Crown Mbewe, all the way from Lilongwe, Malawi. Good evening, Mr. Lucky Crown Mbewe.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm all right, and how are you?
I'm good. How is Lusaka, Zambia?
Well, Lusaka, Zambia is just okay, and the weather is just cool, pretty cool, and very cold, like really cold. And a lot of people are freezing out there, but at least they are keeping warm. Not knowing about
Thank
the
you
long
so
house.
much. Well, just like Lusaka, Lilongwe is also cool, and we were not really freezing. And I'm told in Mzuzu, that's where it is freezing quite a lot and raining. But in Lilongwe, it's just fine and cool.
Well, that's good to hear. Yesterday,
Sure.
we couldn't manage to go live on our Facebook page because of the network that we're experiencing. It was quite bad, but we've decided to come live today on this particular Facebook page so that we can interact with our guest and the people who will be watching. You are free to contribute. You are free to ask any question that you feel like asking. The topic of our discussion this evening is the role of youths in political patronage or advocacy work, is the topic that we are looking at this evening. My guest is Mr. Lucky Crown Mbewe, all the way from Malawi, the long way. To start first, there are a lot of things and a lot of activities that young people do carry out in Africa and some other parts of the country. We've seen youths gathering numbers in what they call advocacy work or patronage. As we kickstart our program, maybe help us to understand what is patronage or advocacy.
Well, I think advocacy has got quite a number of meanings when you begin to define it. But
Yes.
in my own understanding, in short, I look at advocacy simply as speaking out, communicating to policymakers on issues that concern a particular group or a particular team of people. That's how I understand advocacy.
Uh, well, it's quite clear, and there are a lot of activities that have been happening in Malawi following the past elections that were being conducted. Africa witnessed quite a number of activities which were done by young people, and they also participated in voting for the current leadership that is in power today. How would you rate the participation of young people during the previous elections?
Yes, first of all, we have seen for the first time a
Mm.
lot of young people coming out in numbers and take part very actively in the political arena. I think this is one thing that many countries in Africa perhaps can learn from in terms of when youth come together, what is
Mm.
it that it means to raise out, to speak on issues that affect them. It has happened in
Mm.
Malawi, and they have been a game changer and a catalyst for the current situation we are in at the moment in time.
Did they participate in a free way? They didn't experience any kind of intimidation from the leadership?
Well, I think here and there we noticed some kind of intimidation, but actually the bottom line was the
Mm.
fact that it went on well because the young people, the youth, had the passion to see the change that we have recognized and seen at the moment in time. So, simply put, the intimidation did not affect the young people to lose focus in as far as the change that they wanted to achieve at the end of the day.
Well, it's quite interesting. To the people who've just joined us, you're watching a live broadcast of the online chat at 9 p.m. with Billy. This program normally comes every Friday at 9 p.m. in the evening like this. But yesterday we couldn't have this live chat because of the network that we're experiencing. We had quite bad network yesterday. And we've decided to come live today so that we can have this platform to talk about different things, to talk about the role of youths in the political patronage or advocacy work. My guest this evening is Mr. Lucky Crown Mbewe, all the way from Malawi, Lilongwe. We're talking about the role of youths in political patronage or advocacy work. You can send in your comments, your contributions, and anything that you feel like you want to voice out on this particular topic. If you have any question for Mr. Crown, you can send in your questions. Then he'll be able to address all the questions and everything that you might voice out this evening. Going forward, during the elections, after young people participated in the elections by casting their votes, have they been considered in the current regime when it comes to leadership in the political circles?
Well, I think maybe it may be premature to judge at the moment in time because of the few appointments that have been made so far. We have seen some few young people being given some kind of ministerial positions, and yes, a drop in the ocean, if I may conclude to say. But I'm sure, since it's just the beginning, we are yet to see quite a lot in as far as the next upcoming appointments are concerned. But so far, I mean, we can say we have started well because some have actually concluded to say the current cabinet that has been hired by the state president, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, has the face of the youth in it. So we are yet to see.
All right. Well, it's quite interesting to hear that, and it is very quite interesting. You are running a non-government organization that is a Center for Youth Empowerment and Civic Education, CYECE, in Malawi there, which is running in different districts of Malawi. That is about 16 districts of Malawi, if I'm correct with that.
Yes, you're correct.
Just talk about a bit about the organization that you're running for the sake of the people that have just joined us.
Yes, Center for Youth Empowerment dates back from 1997, 98. And it has got a number of programs that are focusing on 3 critical pillars. Navy. Number 2, we are looking at youth empowerment and governance. And the 3rd pillar of our work revolves around child rights promotion. So in the work that we are doing, we are mobilizing young people and the youth, children, to give them the voice for them to be counted in the political leadership and all sectors of policy making at all levels, so much so that their voices are also taken on board and are counted and are considered in all development decision-making processes.
Now, being the human rights activist, you've been preaching about the rights of humans as the executive director of CYECE. Now, looking at the trend that has been witnessed in Malawi, the number of politicians whom, when they come into power, it's like now it has become a trend whereby they get to start arresting people, those who are who were in the previous leadership. If they are voted into power, they start arresting those who were in the previous leadership. How do you check this kind of trend? Is it revenge? Do they play range on the people who have been chucked out of power. How do you welcome this kind of move? Because it has been a trend in Malawi. We are now seeing the Tonse Alliance who are doing almost the same now.
Yes, in fact, it is the issue of the arrest that have been happening now. Well, I think it is a delicate issue, so to say. And what is of great interest is whether the people that have been arrested, indeed they committed such kind of crimes or not, because they haven't been proved by the court of law at the moment in time. Therefore, it may be premature to conclude until the cases are concluded and judgment is passed at the moment in time. Therefore, yes, I can conclusively say that the elements of revenge are being spotted here and there because of the fresh issue that we saw yesterday. One of the security aides of the former president was arrested and given bail, and immediately after being given bail, we noticed some kind of drama. He was rearrested, and people have been asking to say, well, what is it all about this? So yes, one would easily conclude witch hunting and the political motivated arrests, among other things that actually we can say. But I think these are some of the issues that the politicians ought to treat very carefully if they are to be considered neutral or non-revenging in their course of the work that they are doing when they are in power.
So, because it seems like it's some kind of revenge, so what do you think is supposed to be done as a human rights activist?
I think we've got quite a lot to do as politicians, because number one is the issue of whether it is at this point in time when these arrests should be effected or not. Number two is whether the environment so allows them to effect such kind of arrests, considering that in their campaigns those issues were being propagated left to right. We're going to arrest you when we get into power. So I mean, one would easily conclude to say that the arrests are being effected as a tit for tat, a revenge of some kind. But whether the cases may be true or not, perhaps we needed the government to consider working around how to reorganize the country, considering that there were quite a lot of corruption, bribery, and so on and so forth, including looting of government money. Therefore, the first thing would have been to reorganize the country, and then the cases should have followed later.
Now, there are a number of young people who grew up to start preaching about negative things about the current regime. We saw some news that went round where the issue had arisen, where the current regime had to come up with a proposal of the proposed parliament, members of parliament, and quite a number of concerns were raised of saying no, all those people were chosen because of the personal relationship which were there, because they are related somehow, or some they are even family members. How do you welcome that move?
Yes, I think to begin with, on that particular issue, it has been a contentious issue because according to the campaign that was mounted by the Tonse Alliance, it was based on building one Malawi. Malawi that is fit for all. But again, to see the same tenets of activities that the previous regime were doing being also done at this point in time, like, for example, selective appointments that were deemed to be like a thanksgiving to those that supported the current government. I mean, it left a lot to be desired. Appointments that were, based on the family members coming from one family being appointed in cabinet. Not only that, but also maybe the issue of appointing people from the same kind of region and tribe. Those were some of the things that were condemned in the previous government, but we have seen them coming again and being repeated. So I know the president clarified and justified that. I think let us give him time. He will work out and fix all those things. So we have hope and trust that the government seems to be one that is listening. The government seems to be one that is so considerate on issues that the people are complaining with. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that things will turn around for the better.
As an activist and an advocate, how do you welcome the move that the president had to come up with, the Malawian president, of saying the country is supposed to pray because of the current pandemic that almost the whole world is experiencing? How do you welcome that move?
It is a very welcome move, and I wish to commend the state president for taking that kind of route because the pandemic has really hit hard, and Malawi is not exceptional with regards to what the situation is like at the moment in time. So it is a move in the right direction. We need to seek God's intervention in as far as the seeing off this pandemic is concerned. So we need to pray.
Well, it's good that the president called for prayer and fasting. And maybe, do you have anything that you would love to echo out when it comes to advocacy and patronage? Because there are a number of youths who tend to gather and in the name of patronage, in the name of advocacy, some with different agendas. Some they would want to, now some they take this advantage of saying, I'm an advocate, I'm advocating for this, I'm advocating for that, because they have different agendas behind them. Some they do take advocacy work for granted because of their personal agenda attached behind their advocacy work that they do. What kind of advocacy work or patronage work would you like to see as a Malawian, to see the kind of advocacy work that you would love to see Malawian youths taking a part into that kind of advocacy work?
Number one is the issue of evidence that is based on issues, not necessarily advocacy that is based on ill intentions, emotions, and kind of ill motives attached to it. Because whenever you are doing advocacy, the basis should have been, one, you need to have issues. Two, you need to have numbers to support your advocacy work, so much so that the issues that you are advancing should touch and move the one that is supposed to make the decisions for a particular change that people are looking for. So I would like to appeal to the people to make sure that whenever we are coming up with issues that require all of us to engage the key policymakers, that must detach aspects of emotions, that must detach aspects of ill will, and that must detach baseless points, because failure to have issues that would really move those that are in power to take our advocacy seriously will render all our advocacy actions in tatters. So it is important that we need to have advocacy that is based on facts, but also advocacy that would really help the one that is to take decisions to feel counted and respected.
Is your advocacy work based on the facts of helping the people or speaking on behalf of the people?
Yes, correct. Because I would give you an example. The tripartite elections that happened last year, that saw the nullification of the presidency. We were at the core of mobilizing young people, training the youth and communities for them to adopt issue-based kind of civic and voter education. When we talk about issue-based, it is more like we are looking at people should engage based on facts, and those facts were generated from the people. We trained them to come up with facts, and translate those facts to make them sound, so much so that whenever those people that are elected into such kind of positions are there should be a time when they should question them if they are departing from the issues that they agreed upon to be considered whenever they are elected into such kind of positions. Therefore, we saw the issue-based civic and voter education yielding results because people that were voted were the least expected in some constituencies, meaning that people did not bother to vote for someone because of the money that the person had, and people did not vote for a particular candidate because of the strength or the fame that is attached to that particular person. In other words, it was a campaign that was driven by facts and issues. If I would like to compare, it's more like the campaign that was staged about 6-8 years ago in Zambia, the Don't Kuwewa kind of campaign, if you recall very carefully, I mean very closely. The Don't Kuwewa was a kind of model that we adopted. Let them give you money and vote for people that will present issues before you. So I would say that the Center for Youth Empowerment, yes, advance issue-based advocacy.
But you sound like a politician. So if people see you that you are using the advocacy work as a riding horse for you to get into parliament, to get into power, how are other people going to take you?
Well, I think it is within our role to make sure that we sensitize the people, civic educate them, remove the mentality that is in them, deep rooted, to say if you want to choose someone into a position of power, the culture in most African countries has been based on the money, the fame, the power that is attached to that particular person with regards to material, gifts, and other things that are advantage to that particular person. And consequently, if that person is elected into power, it becomes so easy for him or her to forget the electorates and run away from them and come back to them at a time when the next election is close by. Hence, the need to train people to have that passion to vote for someone based on the issues, not on whatever that particular person has.
If a number of people who are following you, they tend to increase and they come to you whispering into your ear to say you can stand, you can make a good leader, what could be your decision?
Well, I think there have been some instances when where many people have actually requested me to stand and represent them as a member of parliament. But I think politics is not part and parcel of the work that I actually want to do and participate on, but rather the work, the civil society work that I'm doing, because I'm helping the people to engage the leaders. I'm helping the people to choose leaders who are going to, support them, achieve the development that they require, which is within their right. Because in most instances, people forget development as a right, and they take it as a privilege. It's not a privilege, it's a right. Therefore, they must demand it where it is due and where it is necessary. So I would conclude to say that I don't think there'll be such a time I would want to venture into politics and stand in that kind of position. I love the advocacy work that I'm doing at the moment in time.
All right, we have a question here from Hastings Saka, who is saying,
yes.
Mr. Mbewe, what are you doing to reduce unemployment that increases youth political hooliganism and patronage? Since you mentioned about the empowerment that you do as an NGO, so he's asking, what are you doing to reduce unemployment level?
Well, I think Mr. Saka may have been well conversant with the current situation in Malawi. The unemployment problem hasn't spared us, and indeed we have seen quite a lot of politicians using many youth to perpetrate political violence and then dump them out there because of lack of employment, and they have nothing to do. As the Center for Youth Empowerment, what we are doing, we have a pillar within our strategic plan and the program focus area that is specifically focusing on training young people on different vocational skills to prepare them for self-employment, but also them to employ others. So as a Center for Youth Empowerment, what we are doing is to train many young people to stand on their own and challenge any attempt to woo them into political gimmicks and rhetorics that would give them lip service in as far as development is concerned. We train them not to be used and dumped, because that is mostly what is happening in many African countries, including Malawi. So we have a vibrant program that is focusing on training young people to prepare them for the job, for the next job that they would partake on.
But for the sake of the Malawians who are watching you for the first time, they would be interested in the kind of activities and skills that you tend to empower young people. What kind of skills do you tend to train young people in terms where empowerment is concerned?
First of all, I wish to make mention that we have within the program of the Youth Empowerment Program, we have a program that specifically looks at talent identification, because we cannot actually see by and conclude by word of mouth or the face itself to say, yes, this one may have a particular talent of ABCD kind of nature. So we spot the talent and we train a particular young person within the talent of his or her particular area of interest. Number one. Number two, if you look at the specific areas that we train young people on our empowerment program, we know that many young people have expertise. So when we talk to them, they give us their focus areas. There are some that would want to turn into carpentry and joinery. There are some that would want to venture into arts. There are some that would want to venture into music, and others that would want to venture into poetry and so on and so forth. Some would want to venture into various kinds of skills that aspires them most. So we train them within the areas of their aspirations, but these don't come from the blues. We engage them, we listen to them, and we train them from there based on what they have communicated to us. There are times that someone would say, I want to be to venture into tech-smithing, electrical engineering, and so on and so forth. But when we assess them, we also note that those could not be the areas of their focus. So our role is to guide them and help them to be much more focused with the specific kind of skill that they would want to partake on.
Thank you very much. As we are in the dying minutes of our short talk, we're supposed to talk for about 30 minutes. Now we have a few minutes remaining. Do you have any final way that you'd like to put across to the people who are watching, especially young people who are aspiring to be advocates?
Number one is the issue about, young people are in majority elsewhere. The youth comprise a larger percentage in as far as the percentage of the populations in the world is concerned. Therefore, the issues and problems that they face are also many, and hence they need some of us to come and help them out to identify their direction and spot their next course of action. And in between, we have seen quite a lot of them being abused. They have been used and to perpetrate violence, and when they have been caught up in the arms of the law, they are dumped and they end there. So I wish to encourage the young people out there not to lose focus. They should continue to fight for the space. If they don't fight for their space, nobody would create that space for them. Therefore, they need to take courage, expose themselves, engage the leaders, tell the leaders they are hungry because they are hungry. Tell the leaders they are unemployed because they are not employed. But they should not tell the leaders we are happy, we are fine, we are enough, yet the opposite is true. So that's the role that we are working on, to make sure that whenever they're engaging their leaders, their policymakers, they should communicate the issues as they are and create space where it is necessary.
Well, we have a comment from Mirongo, who's saying that following from Zuzu. Oh, it's good that someone from Zuzu is watching. And Mr.
That's
Hastings,
in the northern region of Malawi, yes, yeah.
Oh, good, that's good. The other one is following as well from Lilongo, is Mr. Hastings Saka. He's the one who asked the question. And the other one is saying that, okay, quite a number of people are following. Poisha Magua watching as well. She is following. And we have another one from Chipata, that is in Eastern Province, the eastern part of Zambia. Harold Classic Mali. He is watching as well. This has been the online chat. Thank you so much for your time, everyone who has been watching. And we have another one again before we go. She just sent in a comment, Martha Lumbira, following from Lilongo. So it's good to have Malawians on this platform watching. I'm very much encouraged. It's been wonderful talking to you. It's been wonderful talking to you. And I've seen birthday messages from Malawians people. Is it right? Is it correct? Is it correct, I mean, that today it's the birthday of the former president of Malawi, Mr. Peter, or Dr. Peter Mutharika?
Yes, I also heard about that. I didn't follow much, but I've seen some comments in the social media congratulating the former president, some with some kind of messages that are not good enough. Anyway, I know it's just at the moment when we've just transited from this government to the current one. So let me also take this opportunity to extend my birthday wishes to the former head of state, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika. Happy birthday to him. And what it means is that people that are flying around some messages, they still have the passion to love him and to wish him well during his time as he's on recess as the head of state of Malawi.
And on behalf of all Zambians, would love to wish him a happy birthday as well.
Thank you so much, much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lucky Crown Mbewe. All the way from Malawi, we are talking about the role of youths in political patronage and advocacy work. It was the topic of discussion this evening. To everyone who has been watching, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for everything and your contributions. This has been LWANDO Cheleka on the online chat at 9 p.m. See you on Friday next week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.